Hi guys.
How's it going, Felix?
Very well. How are you?
Doing all right. Michael, we got the full hair today, huh? All on down. Very nice. It's beautiful hair, man. I wish I had as beautiful hair. I'm serious as you. Mine's dry and too curly, in my opinion. It's like right in between. It's like 20% too curly.
So I'm on childcare duty, so I will only be half aware of anything that's going on, as long as I can stay. This is me doing childcare.
Hey, what's everyone doing?
Doing great. Good to see you, Phil. And you got a haircut too, right?
True, I cut my hair myself.
Oh, it looks great. Looks professional.
Yeah, actually, it worked out pretty good.
That is impressive.
Yeah, there's a YouTube video by a Scottish barber, and it's actually pretty easy.
I may have to.
You need a hair cutting machine, but I mean those are, I don't know, not that expensive.
I have trimmers. I don't know
20 bucks.
if you've ever heard of a flow bee. It's something that used to be marketed in the United States in like the 70s or 80s, but it's like you attach it to your vacuum cleaner and it sucks the hair up and cuts everything at a certain length. So
That sounds terrifying. All right.
We'll wait a couple more minutes.
I'm probably gonna lay off the videos so that my friend isn't a distraction.
Right.
I will direct people's attention though to the general channel so we can all check out our co-op. It seems a lot of people have checked it out already, which is good.
Looks great. Love it.
So, you know, I'm gonna confirm with the designer that we're going with this. We'll pay the designer and we'll get it going. And then, what's the next step, Michael? You've had more experience. Do I then contact the co-op team in order to like make it official? Yep. Perfect. So
You'll need to know the event number that you created and the number of co-ops that you would like to receive.
Gotcha.
Hey, how are we doing on the challenge co-ops? We're not recording yet, are we? How are we doing on them? You can't wait. Okay. Well, I told Sancha that they would be. He's very eager to get them out to the. So if we could expedite, but I don't want to make it unfair to any one of the teams. I know he's chomping at the bit to reward JCRTP for including Nimbus into that stake client.
Awesome. So thanks everyone for coming in. We'll get started. The first is Phil. Do you want to give an update on the further due diligence? I want to say right away, Phil, that it's looking like it's getting, you know, it's obviously very difficult to do that further due diligence work. I'm going to volunteer, like let's call it 2 to 3 hours of my time, more of my time per week for the further due diligence portion. So that, you know, in the future, for you just feel free to reach out to me, and if you have tasks like asks, like think about, you know, you're not, it doesn't need to be difficult, but you're managing me, right? You give me orders, I'll follow the orders, kind of thing. I think that's going to be the most efficient way to approach it. But I'm happy to do that, as I said, 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah, funny enough, I actually would try to not manage anything because I'm actually not good at managing anything. So if I could delegate the managing role, PM role for this sub project, I would be happy to do so. Would be rather more. I would rather see myself more involved into actually analyzing the architectures than managing this sub project of the EDDC. I don't know. But yeah, nonetheless, so far, at least from my end, there is not much to update on the actual progress, though I outlined the next few steps in the further due diligence channel. Yeah, and I think the first step would be to figure out who's actually able to dedicate some working hours to this subcommittee, sub-project however you want to call it, through this further due diligence project. And so far I've seen 3 thumbs up, 4 actually right now. So that's JK, Medicine, and it doesn't show me. Here's the other one. It doesn't show me. Where can I? Yeah. So nonetheless, I don't know how to. I don't know how to show up the reactions. I need to figure that out. So everyone who's willing to help with that, that would be awesome.
Yeah, Phil. So I'm happy to reach out to all the staking pools. Keep track of who I reach out to. I'll make sure I hit every single one. And just keep pinging those people. I'm happy to do that. But as I mentioned on like the chat there on the for the due diligence channel, like I don't think it makes sense for me to get involved more than that on like evaluation part or like peer reviews, just because, again, I'm part of a staking pool, so I just want to be cautious on how deeply involved I could get there.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I think we also had this point in an earlier meeting, whereas we said it also would be fine if folks from staking pools are part of this further due diligence, as the process itself is evidence driven and fact driven. So we at the end of the day we have something to point at where what our evaluation is based on. But yeah, totally fair, and awesome if you could help with reaching out to the parties for getting the informations.
Yeah.
That's actually the second step that I would say is important for the further due diligence, to get the spreadsheet that I created over the last couple of weeks. I don't know whether you've shared on the last meeting the spreadsheet itself. I made a template which consists of the other spreadsheets I made earlier. I made previously, and it's now just a single spreadsheet for each staking pool, and yeah, it has some kind of an introduction and a section, a general part, a general pool information part, and the more in-depth architecture and operational part. We would need to create an evaluation guideline for the further due diligence, and that's something that I would like to work on in the meantime, getting the general information by the volunteers and staking pools. I don't know whether anyone is willing to help out with this as well. It's just the idea that for every aspect that is in the spreadsheet, that we have a short criteria how do we evaluate this specific criteria. And then what I had in mind was to have sections where different aspects fall under, and sum up all the different green, yellows, reds, and then have for each section an evaluation, basically. And that could be put on the website in a style that is similar to there's this VPN comparison site by the one privacy guy, or I don't know what I shared the link on the general chat. And I think it's a style and a format that is pretty good for comparing these different kind of staking solutions, where each staking solution has its own benefits and advantages, disadvantages over the other. And after the evaluation guide, there needs work to be done on the actual architecture analysis, which is the other which is the other sheet in the spreadsheet. And then there's this peer review and cross fact checking, and at the end there's this evaluation part. And yeah, we need some so certainly we need some help for all of the different tasks and steps involved in further due diligence. So that's the idea I have in mind for what are the next steps for the further due diligence. Although I might say scope has increased over time. I don't know whether whether the current support is enough for that to be managed within a reasonable timeline. I don't know.
Yeah. So, the work you've been doing is amazing. My biggest concern is the man hours, right? We don't want you drowning in this. We don't want you burning out because, you keep on, more things have been added to make this process perfect. We just need it to be good, right? In my opinion, especially right now.
That's also the part where I said I'm not good at managing this stuff, because I mean there's this scope creeping.
Yeah,
that's apparent.
So I think the intent is literally, we need a way to check the validity of the answers that the initial staking providers gave us. And, I think just first we should just focus on that and only that, right? So I saw some additional things in your Excel sheet. I think it's great. It's very well organized, but some of the things have kind of emerged beyond just that function. And you tell me if I'm wrong. I think it'll make your life easier and dramatically easier if our goal, and I'll work with you on this, is only to kind of fact check the answers that these staking pools provided us. Period. What do you think about that?
It would be mostly, I think, I mean, in a different format, all these different questions we ask to the staking pools are within these general information sheet. All the different aspects are in there. So that is on the agenda, one of the priorities to get these information and to fact check these. So it is the priority right now. But I feel like it's for a due diligence committee. I think we need to go further than just looking at what are the basics of what this service is about, but rather looking at, is the actual service they're providing, is it safe to use? Is it something that where certain risks are involved or not? And I don't think that we can find those without looking at the architecture at a more deeper level. I don't know.
Yeah. So I 100% agree with you. But to me, I view this very much as an iterative process. And if we go too deep into the architecture and spend all of our time there, that sort of work will take a very long amount of time to do correctly, which I 100% agree with. But my suggestion is maybe we just start with kind of fact checking the answers that they provided us through the kind of framework that you created. We'll get through all the staking pools, right? They'll have their little ratings on there. We'll amalgamate also through Superphysis tool how many times they've been slashed, and then once we've done that for all the staking pools, then we go through and look at it architecture by architecture in order to really understand the nuances here and where things could go wrong beyond just those basic answers. I think that might be an approach that gets us to a point where we have something online relatively quickly, and then it also allows us to kind of build out more materials for people to consume over time. What do you think about that?
Yeah, sounds good for me.
And so Phil, I'm here for you. So I'm here for you. I'm going to step up and help you with this due diligence. And I understand you don't like managing, but there's got to be certain questions on there that you could say, okay, Madison, who is not, a technical genius here, he can like go on Google and figure out, is this actually headquartered where they say they're headquartered, right? Or Madison can go out and go and look at the backgrounds of all these individuals and manually check, okay, what they say is true, right? And so what I'd suggest, what would be, I think, best is you tell me those questions, those non-technical based questions, and even some, I can handle like the low-hanging fruit technical questions, and you give them to me and say, look, I'm going to handle the technical side and checking that they're doing what they're saying they're doing. You need to go handle these non-technical questions. Here are the non-technical questions. Go after and go verify the information that was provided. If you do that for me, I will go and execute those steps, right? And it's not too much managerial expectations here. It's just literally identifying the things that you want to do for the further due diligence, and then basically saying, here are the ones that, Madison could do, and I'll go ahead and do them. What do you think about that approach?
And just to add too, I can help take on the more technical aspect questions as well, and then we can kind of tag team it there. Happy to jump on calls with the providers or do it async.
Yeah, I think what makes sense is for everyone who's willing and have some time to dedicate to this subcommittee, that we have a call for that group and figure out everything in the smaller group. Because I think there's some aspects that I don't know whether it makes sense to cover here, but certainly there needs to be some coordination within this subcommittee, or I don't know what we want to call it.
Awesome. So it looks like JK, Chris, and myself have offered in some capacity to be part of this group, at least for this initial discussion. And so we'll organize a call around that afterwards. And JK, this is a little bit separate. Well, obviously, obviously continue to reach out to the staking pools for the initial answers to the survey that we send out. That's very helpful. We discussed it before. There's only so many people with the technical skill set to understand some of these answers, and to really, it's more than just understand them, to fact check the answers and to have the ability to basically say this is true or this is not true. We, as Phil said, we're okay with it, with you, even though you have a different staking pool entity than some of these other ones, performing that function alongside Chris, alongside Phil. If it's a time thing, that's a completely separate issue, and like we want to be very respectful of your time. But from a conflict of interest perspective, we've made the decision already that it's better to have that technical skill set there, so we just have the people who can do it, rather than try to find people who can do it with them not being part of any sort of staking pool, because there's not that many people that exist like that.
Yep, gotcha, understood. Just one thing, because I know Phil has been asking for feedback on the forums, and I think I gave the thumbs up. I think it looks good, but I think it'd be good if there could be at least two or three more eyes who could take a look at it and give a thumbs up, and then I think that's what Phil was looking for as well. And then afterwards we could carry that out, and then I could take the link and just run with it and just start spreading it to everyone.
Yep. So I looked at it a little bit before. I think it was even a little bit before you joined. I think it's fine, but I'm probably not the right guy. Chris, it would probably take 5 minutes. I don't know if you've done it already, but I think Phil would really appreciate, and we'd all appreciate, if you could just take a look at that link that Phil posted to kind of evaluate it.
Yeah. So I posted the link to the spreadsheet, which consists of 3 sheets. the one, the introduction sheet, the general information, and the architecture and operational part. Yeah, it would be awesome if anyone can look at it, give a thumbs up. I already created dedicated spreadsheets for each pool out of it. But if there is any change, I just simply create them again. So that's not a big deal. But yeah, it would be good to have the confirmation by the group that this is the actual spreadsheet we're working on. Otherwise, we would need to change them all again. That would be
Yeah, sounds good. I'll run through this. I actually took a look at this, I think a couple weeks ago, but I'll go through it again with the more fine tooth comb. And
yeah, some small parts have changed. I worked in some feedback by JK, and yeah.
cool.
But yeah, so far it evolved over time, and it looks similar to the previous ones here.
Awesome. I appreciate that, Chris. We appreciate that. I'll also go through it again and provide feedback. Anything else on further due diligence? Takeaways here is JK, Chris, and Phil. We're gonna have a call. I'll go through it again. The kind of the sheets that you posted. Chris will go through it again, and then we'll go from there. Perfect.
I think all the other aspects that I have in mind are somewhat linked, related to how do we present the results and how do we. So that relates somewhat to the website or other stuff. So I don't know. At least that's from only for the students, I think.
Perfect.
At least from my end.
And that's a good segue into the website. So I was a little late. I apologize. I ended up sending the information regarding the how I think the design could look about a day after I said I would. And so, Michael, I don't know if you've had a chance to kind of work on that or not, because it's definitely been a short turnaround for you. So it's completely understandable if you happen to have time to integrate some of those changes. You guys can find, by the way, the rough outline of what we talked about last week for some of the changes for the website in the top level domain Discord, looking at that EDDC rating.pdf.
So I've actually got, do I have share privileges? No, I don't think so. Can I be a co-host real quick?
Yeah, let me edit that. I got to remember how I did this last time. Yeah. I'm just going to make you host. I think this will work.
Okay.
Try sharing now.
Can we see a, let me get this for the stream here, 1 second. Okay, so real quick, what I'm gonna do here for the site is I'm just gonna do this for the staking pools, where we just have the simple numbers in their respective categories. Is this okay for the time?
Perfect.
Okay.
Looks a lot better than the basic design I made.
And then what I'll do is these tabs were just placeholders, but I believe, if I'm remembering correctly from the last meeting, it was decided the best direction was to maybe put the categories of pool types up here. So it'd be like custodial, non-custodial, SSV, whatever we want to put up there. Are we still have a consensus on that? That's a good direction.
Can you just repeat that one more time?
Right. So these are just category tabs up here, and I'm thinking of doing is right now all the staking pools are in a general pool. They're all in the same category. What I'm thinking of doing is separating by pool type. So if it's custodial or non-custodial, or however we want to divide these up. Is that a okay direction, or do we literally want these all sort of in one giant pool and just randomized when someone logs on.
I think creating 2 categories for custodial and non-custodial might be interesting. My biggest concern is if we create too many categories, it's going to make it more difficult to navigate.
Right. Sure.
That would be my greatest concern.
Okay.
I think I also think that as long as I think what we could do is instead have like a pill on what I mean a pill or like a little badge on each section that might say like custodial or non-custodial, rather than separating them out into different sections. But if you want to go the 2 different sections approach, just make sure they're not hidden behind tabs. They're just like this is the custodial, and then they're below, if they keep scrolling down, is non-custodial, or vice versa. But I think the badge approach might work too. If we just like throw a badge in each, like next to the rocket pool name and staking facilities name, that could work too.
Okay. So that's, I mean, there's really nothing more to look at here, but I do have some questions in regards. Let me stop sharing this one and share a different one. I've been working on a mock-up for the actual individual staking pool evaluations, and I think I've got a alpha version here, but I'd really like the group's opinion on some direction, so let me share that here. Where are you? Let's try this once. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. So what I'm thinking here is, I'll just go over in a general term sense what the logic was here, but there's already some stuff I'd like to change. And that is, so just when someone lands on an individual rating, they'll see the actual like live status of what the pool is. Is it down? Is it not? Are there issues? What their efficiency rating is based on like, beacon chain. We'll have just sort of their baseball card up here, where they're at. Are they insured? Just basic one answer to their questions. We'll have their overall evaluation, which is the 2 to 3 paragraph synopsis of what we've as a committee established as the pool, and goes into the actual Q&A based on what we sent over to the staking pool. And then I was thinking of a tabbed section below. This is sort of where it gets into the deep dive stuff, slashing reports, things like that. And then just an overall rating card. What's the good, bad, and ugly, and then just our overall rating. Having listened to some of the discussion on Phil's deeper due diligence, I'm sort of second guessing the way in which this is laid out. I think Phil's example of the VPN site is a really good example. I might take some of the visual aspects of that. Specifically, so here are my 2 questions. One is just setting the overall data priority. So is in the sense that I like this general layout where we just give an overview of the pool, and then we dive into the Q&A section. And then if someone is interested, the sort of deep dive and the real beef of the information is at the bottom. Is that overall priority okay, or do we want something to be more front and center first in terms of what we provide to a customer, I guess? Because the reason I'm asking is I think this is probably the wrong direction, and because I see the deep dive of the due diligence to be very data heavy, so I see there being a lot of content to relay, and I don't think this is going to facilitate, at least in an easy digestible way for anyone reading it, to be enough space like visually. I think it's going to be too cluttered, and there's going to be too much information to relay. So I'm wondering if we do more of a tabbed section where it can have more real estate, like this Q&A section. but I'll open it up to the group here.
Yeah, so I think the tab section, and from my understanding, you click this tab. Well, there definitely needs to be this information somewhere. Maybe having, if you click the link of the names of the staking pools, it takes you to their individual pages like this one. That's one way to do it. Even, by the way, even like a drop down where there's a caret, you click the caret and then it just opens up with the questions and answers rather than having some of the stuff at the top. That could be one way to do it. What do you think about those options? And this also works. I'm completely fine with this as well.
No, I think that probably solves a lot of problems just doing it that way too. And then on what I'll like, so priority for me is I'm going to refine the Q&A section here and inject a little bit of the kind of the same visual references that Phil shared with the VPN link. So there's some sort of the color rating is associated with each question and answer. And then play around with the UI a little bit here. So there's probably, to extend what you just said there, Madison, maybe I'll put a drop-down menu after the overall evaluation with the different options, maybe that, whether that's Q&A, deep dive, slashing reports, whatever it is, and it just populates on the bottom here. Okay.
I wonder, like, basically the location there, right? It's based on this core development team, or what do we ask here? Or because, like, basically, right, Rocket Pool, the operators could be anywhere. I think even thing in Lido, like, the operators are actually all over the place. I wonder how useful that is to have that, like, so centered. It seems like it's like the main thing, right? Here, Australia. Yeah. Or what kind of data do we want in the very top? You know, is it just like, I think custodial seems like good, insured, yes. Maybe it's like number of operators, or like, you know, like, I think on top there should be like the really the most important info in this small space. And I'm not sure if location is actually one of them, or how we think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree that particularly location, there are different kind of aspects to it. I mean, where do you run the servers? Where is the headquarter? What is the jurisdiction of that? So there are different kind of locations, and it is not really clear what is the one that sticks out there. What I would say is one aspect that, at least from my opinion, we should strive towards is, at the end of the day, all the different kind of staking solutions, they all have they all make different trade-offs, and the one solution is good for the one user and the other one is good for the other. So one way to look at it is that we could end up with general recommendations. What is the targeted group of this pool? What user group should what is the recommendation of for a certain user group? For example, I don't know. For example, Lido or Rocket Pool. You actually stake your ETH, but it is to some degree still liquid. So that might be appealing for someone who's in DeFi or something. So that could be a recommendation for them. But on the other hand, they use smart contracts. So that involves smart contract risks. So at the end of the day, I think we should end up with recommendations rather than so that's, let's say, that's one important aspect that I see there. Sorry.
No, I would agree, and that's partly what I was hoping to get from the group too, is the sense that I think that sections for the individual layout are important. I think it's good to have there. I just didn't necessarily have direction in terms of the actual, like, what is the data we actually want to display there, and what's actually important to a respective user. So that's good. I can sort of flesh out and mature some of those data types for the card there for the next meeting. So what I'll do, if the group is good with it, is I will, for the front page, the landing page, I'll implement the numbering section. So we have the ratings on the home page, and then I'll make that live, but I'll hold off on this template yet until there's maybe a little bit better of a design layout before I actually start coding it. And then once we have a consensus on that, I'll make that live for the next meeting, if that's fine.
Awesome.
Okay.
By the way, what's everyone's opinion on what kind of format do we use for rating? So in this, Michael, you had this numerical rating. What is? Pardon?
So Michael, would you mind just showing Phil the one? So we actually discussed it last week, and then I made some suggestions that it seems like the committee was for, and then I showed these suggestions to Michael, and we've changed the look of the ratings. There aren't any raw numerical score now. It's based on effectively, like, you know, if we gave someone 2 yellows, it's 2 warnings. If we gave them 1 red, you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but so as far as I understood this, there are two sections. There's the one where you compare, where you have this overview and where you can compare between all the different staking solutions, and then there is this baseball card overview page, where at the end there was this, at least in this draft that was shown, there was this numerical rating, and I think that does not make sense for staking pools, in my opinion. But yeah, that's just my opinion. I would be eager to hear what everyone else think about that.
I'm glad you brought this up, because Michael, one thing that would be good on that individual page with the questions and answers, if we could have like a rating next to those questions and answers of how we rated them, that could be useful information to provide there. So the yellow or green or red or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
That's kind of what maybe I wasn't clear on that. That's kind of what I was thinking for the, when I was referencing the link that Phil had shared in the chat, where I think that from a visual standpoint, I might bite that and inject it into our template where it does give that rating, right? So we have the actual information provided by the staking pool, but then we actually have our, from individual answers question perspective, we have the rating from in color terms of how we like that, right? That's what
shared the link once more.
Yep.
And I think that format is particularly good in actually comparing the different staking pools to each other. So seeing the different trade-offs they make. I don't know how one could apply this to the individual solutions.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a little. It's not. Yeah, I'll have to bend it a little bit to work, but we'll see how it goes.
And also, I like on this VPN site the different kind of badges.
Yeah, I was just looking at those too.
And we could come up with different kind of badges that picks up the idea of this recommendations and also this showing in an easy way whether it's an custodial or non-custodial. That could be something to work with.
Yep, absolutely. All right, cool. Then I'll go that direction then.
Awesome. So I think we covered everything in the meeting that we wanted to cover. Does anyone else have any other topics? Michael, really appreciate the work.
Yeah.
Everyone does, I'm sure. You've been doing it on the website.
No problem.
Yeah, the core group, right? It's good. Phil, same with you with the further due diligence. I'll step in. I'll help a little bit more there. See you guys at the next meeting.
All right, cool.
When will
Guys.
be the next meeting?
I think it's alternating. I think we're
Okay.
going to 11 p.m., but I got to talk with Superfizz. Superfizz
Yeah.
is the
Okay.
account guy now.
Then
you.
most likely see you in 2 weeks.
Yep. All right. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
do like a quick round of intros of everyone of the people attending. My name's Mara, dialing in and working over at Bison Trails, and I'll be moderating today's fireside chat.